large-scale beta coming up from the 9th to the 12th of May, and you have several opportunities to get a key for that beta. First, you can request access to that beta on our Dune Awakening Steam page. You can also go to our website and request beta access from the website directly, or you should keep an eye on your favorite streamer content creator because they might have keys to give away as well. Last but not least, we will have a global broadcast from PAX East and from London, actually, on the 10th of May, and you will also have the opportunity to get some keys during that specific broadcast. So there's many opportunities. Make sure to try one or several of them to get higher chances at a key. With that out of the way, what the segments that we have coming up today are the following. We will be talking about building. We will also be talking about narrative and story. We will also be talking about the Landsrat and the exchange. We will also have a contest for the building segment, and during our Q&A, we also will have a raffle where we give away some special edition for the game, so stay tuned for that as well. As always, remember, we will be collecting questions during the stream. Our community team will collecting questions, and those should be in relations to what we actually discuss, to the segments that we're discussing. Yes, I think that's pretty much everything. So before we dive into the building segment, let's watch a brand new video.
A terrible sandstorm is building. The only hope for survival is to take shelter, and quickly. On Arrakis, exposure to the raw, unbridled elements is death. But walls alone will not save you from the maelstrom. You need power and the engineering of Cho to raise a protective shield against the storm. Without such protection, even the strongest walls will erode and fail in time, as will anything left in the open. Your exposed vehicle is beyond repair, but a lesson is learned. You need better protection against the dangers of Arrakis. It's time to upgrade your base. Base construction and expansion can be done alone or together with others. With Solido projections, building as a group is easy. To further customize your base, you must align yourself with one of the warring great houses, displaying your allegiance through their unique architecture. The Atreides welcome your aid. Swear your fealty to the Atreides and rise to greatness on Arrakis. Your base serves as a reflection of both your influence and your allegiance to a faction. The safety provided by your base allows you to craft powerful new tools, technologies, and vehicles. Here we are crafting a ground car. Once each part of your vehicle is assembled, you can install modules to enhance its specialization further and customize its appearance. By aligning with the Atreides, you have earned the option to craft their faction-specific ground car.
Sector weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
On the horizon, another sandstorm approaches. But this time, you are prepared. Your base is equipped with powerful shields for protection, and a custom-built garage that will keep all your vehicles safe from the raging storm. The shields are vital, but they come with a cost. With a construction of this size, the Emperor demands a tax to keep your base running. You will construct grand bases, and in Dune Awakening, you will have the option to share them with others if you choose.
Building copied.
All your creations can be recorded as blueprints, These can be shared with allies, or even bought and sold on the exchange. Anyone holding a blueprint can instantly place a projection of the entire building and construct an exact copy for themselves. Dune Awakening's building system allows for limitless creativity. Build your foundations strong, for your walls must stand against the unfathomable forces of Arrakis. Your Arrakis.
Welcome back. I have now two very exciting guests with me to talk about the building and actually quite a few things that we've seen in the video a little bit in more detail. Welcome, you two. So on my side here, I have Leo Welter, who some of you might recognize we had on stream earlier with Joel in one of our segments. Would you like to introduce yourself quickly?
Yes, I'm Leo. I'm a lead game designer on Dune Awakening, and I'm responsible for building and social systems.
Yes, and then we have a new face on the stream on the side there, Tor Egil Andersen, also known as Mr. Legendary Tor Egil for some on the Discord, because he's actually the one who does all the magic for when you see buildings in like marketing material, in videos or on screenshots, that's basically the person who makes them. He's absolutely amazing when it comes to building, so it's definitely a good person to talk to us about building today. Welcome. Do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Sure, thank you. I'm Tor Egil. I've been with Funcom since 2011, and I'm the senior content manager on the marketing team. So usually when you see something built or you see videos or images, I'm usually involved in some way.
Absolutely. Like I said, magic. So when we talk building system, we should probably also talk about what is the goal with the building system and kind of how does it differ from, let's say, Colin Excels, for example. Leo?
Yeah, so for the building system, two things we really wanted to emphasize is that on one hand, we want to retain the freedom that you had in Conan Exiles, right? So you can build quite a lot without restriction, but on the other hand, we also wanted to make sure that building worked on another level of persistence that we have in Dune Awakening, right? So some restrictions were necessary there. So we wanted to make sure that those two things worked hand in hand.
Yeah, because you have a seamless world and it's very heavy on your system as well otherwise. I think when it comes to quality of life improvements, is there anything that you feel we learned from Colin Excels that goes into Dune Awakening?
So the building system in Colin Excels evolved through many, many years, and that also taught us much for Dune Awakening. So I felt we've taken those learnings and put them in here, and so it's a bit of an evolvement of the Colin Excels building system, but it's also it allows us to basically take those learnings, but also expand the system with especially more unique building pieces, more unique styles, and make it flow easily as you build. So now Conan Exiles is unique in that it has through 8 years been adding dozens of building sets. So we're not there yet on Dune Awakening, obviously, but we have 4 at launch, and we're going to keep adding as we go on.
And of course, one of the differences that was mentioned is the land claim and the sub-fief basically that you place down. I think we should just jump into the game and actually show what that looks like and how you start.
Let's do that.
So then, you're not quite dead.
We can just start explaining what we're going to do, right? So we're basically going to build a base together with the
Okay, now we see it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, awesome.
All right. Yeah, so we have to ground cars out here, and we're looking for a spot to build our base.
Yeah, and then we see Camille waving for us.
Yeah. So the way we start with that is we find a good spot, and then we start by placing our subfief console, which is how we claim a piece of land.
One thing to keep in mind there is that you see these outlines, and you can see where there's red, there is a point of interest, NPC camp, something like that, so you cannot build there. But the other places you can build. So we're going to place this. At the moment, I have the starting subfief console, which is basically just in Haga Basin South. You want to talk about the differences, Leo?
Yep. So later on in progression, you'll unlock the advanced subfief console, which can claim a larger piece of land, which is the one you can see here. And that one can also be expanded to an even greater area. Or it can be expanded vertically as well, if you want to do that. All right, so now that we have the subfief console here, what you can do is add the other player here to its permission list, and that will give them access to it as well. So now they're an associate, you can elevate them to co-owner level of permission, and they'll give them increased rights to perform various activities on the base. Now, this is the base management screen, as we call it, and here you can see details such as the name of the base up in the left corner, which can be changed as well. You can see that there, set it to whatever name you like, and then you can choose if it's your respawn location or not. You see some stats about the base there, the area and the number of objects of various categories against the current cap. And the cap that you see there is also expanded when you expand the base. And then you have some shield status information as well there. And the base shields, once they're up, they will protect your base against storm damage.
Yeah, this is crucial in Dune, though,
Yeah.
to have your shields active. Otherwise, your base will start deteriorating.
Also,
Yeah.
we see a tax area there as well, of
Yeah.
course, for the
Yeah.
taxes.
Yeah, so the advanced subfief console is taxed on a cycle, and yeah, if you don't end up paying that, then you'll lose your shield privileges, which will mean that the base will start taking damage.
It's like the
And that's
base,
sort of a maintenance cost for it.
right? And also, like the base subfief is not taxed.
No, the first subfief is not taxed, so only when you progress further into the game.
Right now, I'm claiming more land, which is something you can do with the advanced subfief console. So I'm going to claim this land, and as we play, Camille is also going to claim some more. You can keep advancing, expanding your base until you have 6 land claims. So it's quite a big area.
Yeah.
It's not infinite, obviously, but it's still quite big.
Yeah, you have the staking unit working over there, right? And the more segments you've claimed, the longer this will take, right? And if this was a PvP area, this is a process that can be fought over, right?
Yeah, you see you have a countdown here. And Camille has started to build here, so we can build our base together. That's a good thing in the game here. Let me just show you the basics of building here.
I think it's also important to mention that you can claim not just vertically, but also horizontally, right?
Yeah, you can expand in either dimension, right? So you can.
And that's a very good point, because you can keep on building high. Like you can build super cool bases on top of these peaks, find a nice elevated place, and just build a cool base. And we're gonna see examples of that, later.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, you don't have to expand horizontally if you don't want to. You could expand vertically and get what you need in terms of caps from that as well.
Yeah, and here Camille has placed some projections, so we can fill these. So you can just design your base and let others help construct it.
Yeah, those projections are also useful for planning out your design if you don't have enough resources available.
And also we see you like put out foundations first here to kind of have some stability going.
Yeah, that's where the stability comes from, the foundations, and And from that point, you can expand further with walls and other structures.
So an important thing your base is going to need is power, as we talked about, to power the shields. So I'm going to place a generator here. Now you can't get power from nothing. You have to have fuel for it. But we have a bit here. So I'm going to add the fuel.
Also, I just want to mention that we're actually cheating here a little bit. So we have dehydration off, and we also don't have sunstroke.
Yeah.
So just so you know, just so makes it easier for us to actually show all the things that we want to show.
You can focus on building here.
Yes, exactly.
And here you can see the shields are now active.
Yeah. You can see it on the generator there and on the subfief console effect that you have underneath there.
So, and you can move things you placed. You can't move building pieces, but you can move your placeables. And you can also easily, you can see here on my right side, I can control what I want to do. Piece picker, repair, move, demolish, or build. And this is very, very handy, and you can just, on a mouse and keyboard, you can just swap between it with a right click. So with piece picker, you can easily pick the piece you want, and now you have it selected.
Yeah, that's how we allow you to do most building-related activities just with the use of one tool.
And demolish, the moment you remove a piece, you get full refund on the resources.
Which I personally love.
Yeah.
Because it just makes it like, so you don't make mistakes and you get like punished for it, or like if
It's
you don't
not a
like
disaster
something.
if
I
you
love
make a
that.
mistake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also we've now put down some storage chests, as you can see, which is very cool as well, because you can actually craft but also build straight out of those storage chests.
Yes, it will automatically take the resources you have.
Yeah, as long, of course, as you do have those resources collected, as you have them available. And talking about that, we have Camille, who is now also going out to harvest some resources for us. So we actually have enough to build and show some more things. So he's on the way to collect some granite.
You can see another building set being used as well.
Yeah. Started dipping into the Chom foundation here. So at the moment we have the starter building set is the Chom shelter.
Okay, and now we are actually switching over to Camille.
Yeah.
Yes, so we actually do see him driving the mining buggy.
Out looking for some resources.
Yes.
So let's see what we find.
Yes, you can see it has a mining turret on top there.
Yeah. So this is a more advanced version of mining, right? So you can drive around. You're looking for some resource node or some wreck that you want to mine from. And once you find something you like this node here, you can just jump into the turret and mine it for some resources. And this is a lot more effective than doing it on foot.
He's doing it on his own now, but of course you can do it with a friend, so one can drive and the other one can use the turret.
Yeah, for sure.
It goes way faster.
And he's missing a bit there. I need to back up.
Yeah.
So this is cool if you have one driver and one miner.
Yeah, it's
So
easier
it's-
than,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So that makes it a bit easier. But
There we
it
go.
is, it's possible with just one
efficient.
person.
Yes, it's more efficient, you get more material that way as well.
Yeah.
So you mine some carbon here.
All right. Now, are we heading back or looking for more resources? See what we find.
So he's driving in Jabal Afrit now, which is above the rift. So you can see there's a lot of elevation here. This is a cool place to build tall buildings. Or I like building bases hanging out over ledges, for example, can be very fun.
Yeah, you can build up on those spires if you want to, and
Yeah, I think we can go back and do some more building.
Yes, okay, so we were talking about the different building sets. Right now we're showing off the Chom sets. As I said, you start with this one, Chom Shelter. The next one here is Chom Facility. These you can learn with just progressing, basically. but in addition, you have Atreides and Harkonnen building pieces. And for these, you got to align with one of the factions.
Yeah, so you progress from one to the other, and then you can pick one of the faction sets, and depending on which faction you align to.
So we're going to show much more of Harkonnen and Atreides later. I have ready-made bases to show from that. As you can, so Arna didn't get the angle right, so then you just demolish and you just build again. There you go. And in Dune Awakening, it's just, you can see we've added more and more, expanded from Conan Exiles. So there are basically building pieces for every slot. If you have a hole in your building, there is a piece for it.
So you actually expanded on the type of pieces that you can have while building.
Yeah, there are quite a lot
For
of piece
Conan Exiles.
varieties.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I quite like, for example, the half height. So you have half height walls. This will work well with the roofs, because some of them are not just flat. They are they build up, one half height. So you can see here. Let's see. One more. There.
There you go.
So you have basically a piece for every slot.
You may also note that if you're familiar with Exiles building, that the building pieces here are quite a bit bigger.
Yes.
Yeah.
That really helps with repetition. If you're building a base and you feel that the pieces just keep repeating and it becomes a bit boring, with the bigger pieces you get less of that. So it's more visually interesting.
Yeah, and it also helps when you're building a huge base, because you want to accommodate the vehicles that we see there, or even bigger vehicles that we have.
So right now I'm just mixing and matching a little bit here. So here you can see the second tier has different colors. The Harkonnen and Atreides building set are very different. They have very different colors and looks, and they have their own unique pieces. Chom here has some unique pieces as well. For example, like these ones, you can build these open areas, so you can basically build sort of little verandas, I would say. I built it just inside here now, but the Harkonnen and Atreides have even more unique pieces. So we're going to look at them later also, but especially things like the gates are massive and iconic. So the Atreides gate, for example, has a huge hawk on it, while the Harkonnen one has a big face. So we're going to show them in bases later.
Yeah. The higher end pieces, or the higher end sets, also have quite a bit more pieces than the lower end sets.
Here you can see the Harkonnen walls, for example. We can just place one here now, just to take a quick look.
There's a wall in Camille there.
Yes.
It's quite a different style.
You see the style is completely
very different,
and unique, right? Because this structure here will allow tons of creativity, because you can make all sorts of shapes. You can put these on tops of your bases or on the bottom, and we'll see a lot of that in that the players have built
Yes,
also
I was
later.
just about to mention that we'll actually see that later on when we do show some buildings that our beta testers have built in the beta. So once you have your build, of course, you start to also add machinery, right? Like to really establish your base.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's lots to choose from here. For example, we have shown a little bit of power generation. We can place a wind turbine here. So this will allow us to get more power.
Yeah, it's the next level of progression from the generator that you saw. Generates a bit more efficient.
And here you can see there are different tiers, right? As you progress in the game, you will unlock these. And
they get big.
Yeah. Yes, they get really big. This is something really helpful in the game, this wind trap. It will help gather water for you. So it will automate survival a little bit. You don't have to go out hunt for so much water. You will be able to find it in your base, and it will fill cisterns that you can place also.
Yeah, again, it's a bit more convenient to deal with the water pressure as you go along.
Of course, it gets more complicated as well because you have to make sure you have more power, you have enough power, and that they're all on the right circuit and all that. So the bigger you build, the more kind of management is also asked of you.
Right, there you have a fabricator. So this is the first one you'll get access to, and this one can be used to fabricate basic equipment from different categories. So let's see how that looks.
Yeah, so we can just start making some, making a pistol, for example, and you can see it actually, you see it forming as it crafts. So, and of course you will be able to advance with different kinds of fabricators for different purposes. The biggest one is the huge vehicle fabricator here.
Yeah.
I have one in a big base we're going to look at later, but they're hard to place. You need a lot of room.
Yeah, so this first one can be used to craft from many different categories, right? But as you go deeper into the technology, then you'll branch out and build more specific fabricators. For example, this one specialized for garments, and then you have other ones for weapons or vehicles, as you saw.
And as you craft, you're going to need more and more resources. So there are refineries, and for example, here we have spice refineries. Place one of them. The biggest one of them is gigantic. So you see
now you run out of power.
I went over my power limit, so now we need more power generation. So these are things you got to keep in mind as you build and as you expand.
You see that information on the subfief as well. You can actually check how much power is needed, and
you can always go in here and see how you're doing. And you can refuel all your generators from here. So if you have a huge base, lots of land claimed, you have you know, wind turbines all over the place, you can refuel them from this one.
Very convenient.
Yeah.
Another thing that I love too is the fact that I think I briefly mentioned it earlier as well, that you can craft from those storages that you have directly. Another thing I really love though is the fact that you can actually move those chests without having to empty them first, which is something that I really appreciate.
That makes it a lot more convenient if you want to rearrange your base. You don't have to move items out of your chests before you move them.
It's a little quality of life thing that makes such a huge difference. Yeah, absolutely.
So here we place the next tier of wind trap. As long as you have a shielded base, all your placeables, your decorations, all your utilities, they are also shielded. So even if they are on the roof, they have protection.
We talked about the different building sets, of course. You mentioned factions and things that we have for right now. And from what I understand, we will also have, after release, we also have Twitch drops that will be giving you some new pieces. No, we want to spoil any more details about that, but there's opportunities for people.
I can say I've been looking at them recently.
They look amazing, don't they? Yeah,
genuinely.
okay. Which is a bit mean that we're saying that now without showing them, but they are actually looking very cool.
You know,
very cool. No, it's not that far off. That's true.
We'll see them soon, right?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. So I'm personally very excited about that too, and it looks very cool. That specific set.
In addition to building pieces, there's a lot of decorations, obviously. Right now you can see decorations here from both Chom, Atreides, and Harkonnen. We're going to show bases with rooms decorated with these soon, so don't worry, you're going to see them all placed out. You can have wall decorations, carpets, so yeah, there's lots to look forward to here. Yeah, a unique, and just remember the pieces will keep on coming. Yes.
All
right. Do we want to talk a little bit about copying bases?
Yeah, let's do that.
So in my inventory, I have a base copied already that I built before, and it is here. So it's in this replicator. So here you can see a base I've built. And as long as you have this item and you have enough land claim, you can now place out the projection of this base.
Yeah, so the way this works is that you can craft one of those Solido replicators, and with that you can then copy a design of a previous base and place it somewhere else. Or you can sell it to someone or give it to someone else.
Yes, we actually
Whatever you
talked
wanna
about
do
that
with
as
it.
well in one of the later segments. Exactly. Actually something that's very
So here you
important.
can see me placing the base I was just previewing. So first you gotta try and adjust it to find a spot, and once you place it you can then confirm. So now it is placed. Now I cannot see it anymore, but the moment I build my building tool up, I put it here, now I can see the outline
You
of this
see the
base,
outlines, yeah.
and I can start filling in the pieces. Now, even if I copied it and I placed it out, you still need to place out the building pieces. Like you don't get them for free, right? You have to craft your base.
Yeah.
And this base is basically, the idea of it is that it's a forward operating base that could be very handy for the deep desert, because it has several places for shielded ornithopters, and basically a core structure that has a lot of room for crafting machines and stuff like that.
We can actually show that because we have a video prepared for what it actually looks like once you have it completely built again.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll save you a lot of time
And
each
there
week.
it is.
Yeah.
And there it is. I mean, that's
That's a great looking
that's
base.
Torgil magic right
Yeah.
there. Yeah. So it gives you an opportunity to see like all the things that you can do. You have like those different doors here that you can actually just fly in or drive through without having to open and close, even though they're like kind of, you can't go in there if you
Those
don't have permission.
pentashields there.
Pentashields, exactly. You also see the big wind traps on the side. Those are actually
Wind turbines.
Wind turbines.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so here's the interesting part. You can build creatively just for beauty's sake, or you can build very, efficiently and just make a box. That's up to you. And here I've sort of combined it a bit. I made it reasonably concise, square-shaped to be easier to place out. And but still, I've added a little bit of flourish here. You can see especially the Atreides pieces, the wings, which is a unique Atreides feature here, and the gate you see there. But it's of course functional for the deep desert with the ornithopters.
Good
and you have
access
room for them.
points, exactly, on the roof. And also like they lend itself really well to like kind of mirror like buildings, those specific pieces, which is very
And
cool.
you see those pentashields there, they fully protect you against the shields and protect against the storms.
Yes.
And they protect the vehicles against the storm damage as well.
So just make sure you have enough power and you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can actually now switch again and check out some other faction buildings.
Yes. So right now we've moved a little bit. I just got to get out of the sand here. I see the worm is prowling.
That's dangerous.
Yes. I'm close enough to land here.
You were
But
that's close to the sand though, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So
It's risky.
yep.
So here I built a base with the two different chome sets. So we're gonna get a better look at it. I'm gonna fly up and stuff later, but you can see a little bit of an outline here. You can see some banners, things like that. Buggy entrance here, and pentashield protects it. So we're gonna head in.
A lot of machinery going on there as well.
Yeah.
Refinery there.
Little picnic table in the middle, I like it. And here we have a nice resting area.
So here we have chome decorations, which I really like. The walls here, the bed, and you can really, if you
It's very
want to.
70s, isn't it? Like a little bit, or is it?
Yeah.
70s.
Yeah, you could say
Yeah.
that.
Bit of a vibe.
Yeah. Quite like the bookshelves here. So you see, like, even if, Dune Awakening is, it focuses on survival, you have to, beware the sandworm, the sandstorms, you can still do things like this. You can still be creative, you can still build if that's what you want to do. And here I'm playing around with elevation here inside, and you see that as we get outside also.
You gotta chill sometimes too, like. You gotta
exactly.
enjoy your spiced tea and
Yes, and yes, because you can see there's lots of cutlery and cups and nice things, right? And you can just build this with your guild and have a nice time. It doesn't all have to be about maximizing profits and fighting.
Exactly.
Nice combination with the functional downstairs there and then the sitting area
The
above.
social areas, yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I
Okay.
agree.
So I'm gonna head up so that we can get a bit better look at.
And also really
the
nice to
space.
see the verticality here as well, like how you can build, like also like nicely built into the mountainside here.
Yes, and we'll see that as I get into the thopter here. So here we have a chome thopter. We're just going to take off and take a little look at the base here. So here you can see the combination of the two chome sets. You
The more sandy color for the basic one, and then the white one
Yeah.
for the advanced.
and they kind of I feel they really fit in with Dune here. The style of them, you know.
Making use of the verticality here in this
Yes.
limited space, right?
Yes, exactly. And because this is an obvious thing in Dune Awakening that you may not think about, like you cannot build a base anywhere. If you build it out in the sand, it's
Well,
going to
you
get
can,
eaten.
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
It won't last long.
you can
No.
in like
The worm is going to have a great
practicality,
time.
but,
Yes.
yes.
So, and up here, for example, I have a chome assault thopter, which is a ornithopter, which is a little bit bigger than I have here. And yeah, so you can see you can build both functionally and, you know, if you want to play around with building beautiful things, you can do that. So we got a peek at this base here. I built a little veranda here, actually. Just
It's nice how you
like
see
a
those
little- yeah.
Prudence doors glowing there from a distance.
Yeah, and here you can see these unique chome pieces. For example, this here, so you
Yeah.
can have a little seating area.
The ones you mentioned earlier.
Oh, and we see the worm.
Oh,
But we are
it is
safe
closed
in there.
though. Oh my
Yeah,
God, it's
yeah.
very close.
He can't get up here, so everything is all right. All right, so I'm gonna head over to an Atreides base. By the way, I have the sunset die, the swatch for the thopter. So, and this is part of the pre-order reward. So now, yeah, we see the worm below us actually. That's quite fun.
A bit too
Safe
close.
up there. Just don't go. You're not safe in the area if you're too close. Just we mentioned that just now. Like, yeah, if you get into the beta, you can test how close you can get with the ornithopter to the storm before, to the worm before it's.
So our thopter here has a couple of modules. It has a boost, so I can fly faster. The clue there here is not to overheat, and I have a scanner. You can just scan a little bit, and then reveals resources as you go. You can see the area is quite decent on this. So we're just flying towards the shield wall. I've built a big Atreides base up here.
Yeah.
Right now, this is a trade post we see in front of us. So this is an important location for players because you can find trainers here, you can trade, you can find contracts, all sorts of things.
It's a hub for activities in the region, right?
Yeah. On our right here we have Vermilius Gap, and on our left we have Misateril and the Odam, and then we have the shield wall up here. So now you can actually see my base here coming into view. Built a big Atreides base here. This is using all 6 land claim areas. So this is basically, it's filling out. You can build a little bit bigger, but not a lot. So, and here you can really see the verticality. You can see I built along the cliff here, and you can see the Atreides wings. So these jut out. You see the unique Atreides colors here.
That's great for that spot.
It's a nice spot, and it gives you a view of almost the whole map, right?
A new
So-
really great vantage point. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm gonna settle down here. So just a quick look at, here you can see the Atreides pieces as they have been used, and these are
Really
unique.
Big. They're
They
very
have
big
unique
too.
walls, these wings, everything is unique here. So in the base here, for example, here I have the biggest vehicle fabricator right here. So it's a huge platform.
Some water storage there as well, I see.
Yeah.
Large water tanks.
And here the Atreides assault ornithopter with rocket pods there. So, and yeah, I'm gonna show you a little bit around this base. Actually, I want to show the front of it a little bit to show off the gate, because the Atreides gate I really love. I just want to take a quick look at it here from this side as well, because the hawk of the Atreides gate is really, it's both creative and sort of majestic. How cool here, so you can see.
Well, I prefer the Harkonnen, just saying. But,
Yeah, we're gonna show off another Harkonnen base soon also. But I've been promising you some
looks
decorations, so we're gonna take a look at them. So
You still see the combination of the functional there as well, with the
Yes.
the wind traps and the turbines.
you can see the creativity here too, or
Yeah.
like the eye for building as well, because some people might just stack them next to each other somewhere down in the basement.
Yeah.
And here we have like, well, obviously not the.
You're lucky Tor Egil here isn't in the competition, right? That'd be
Well,
tough.
there's some pretty good.
There you go. We could
contestants
do
there.
that. Yeah, we could do that for the future though. Like
Mhm.
meet Tor
Maybe.
Egil.
That'd be something.
So here
Oh,
I've
this is
decorated
lovely.
an Atreides room. It's using both Atreides decorations and the Caladan Palace set.
Right, the one that you get when you pre-order.
Yes, you get it in the Ultimate Edition. So actually here I have the Terrarium
And the Muad'Dib as well.
You can see him in there. There he is.
Yes.
And yeah,
Another.
the Caladan Palace set is big. It has both building pieces and these decorations, so I can show you some unique things from it. For example, it has these unique wood panels that you can put on your walls. It has, yeah, you can see a portrait here. I think this is Paul's grandfather, Leto.
Mhm.
Leto the first, was it?
And yes. So you can see these are part of the Caladan Palace set, these nice furniture, and even some roof pieces, this roof piece, and these doors. So it's a fully functional, can build fully functional rooms with it. But and these holograms, you can see the decorations here. You can basically go pretty crazy. You can put together all sorts of things: bookcases, banners, holograms, glow globes, and up here we have a unique piece which is like a fresco. Players will be able to get access to this
Eventually.
eventually.
Yes. Yes.
That's a great looking piece, though.
It is though. That mural
Yeah.
is fantastic. It's really beautiful. It's really big too, though. It's huge. Yeah. Yeah. This is
So-
amazing. I think we should maybe move over to a Harkonnen base now as well,
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that.
because let's go Harkonnen. No.
Yes. I
Just
built,
to see the contrast as
yes,
well.
it's a
like
That's the good
contrast.
side, right?
That's the right side.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
There
We're
we
at
go.
the Harkonnen base now.
Cool. Now we have Camille outside the Harkonnen base. Yes. So he's just going to start off a little bit of interior here. So I built some nice rooms. There's the biggest spice refinery, by the way, on the right there. It's huge.
You need space for that one.
Yes, a massive base. you
Quite
need
a
that.
few stories tall, that one.
Yes. Yeah, you need space for that one.
But yeah, we can see we're inside the Harkonnen structure. We're going to see it from the outside also. And we can take a look at the unique Harkonnen decorations. So, for example, straight ahead here, I have a little bedroom. You can see bed, and the style is very different.
Very dark.
Yes.
It is.
But it has a lot of unique details.
More
And the-
rounder shapes.
It's
as
just
Yes.
more
well.
organic.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
much
while
more.
the Atreides one is very like military, very like edges and
So a little office here, and on the left, put in a few more lights with holograms and like a dining area here. So you see, it has a fully fledged set of decorations. I think you have to, you have to align with the faction to unlock these, and then you purchase them from their quartermasters, right, Leo?
Yes, exactly. That's how it works.
Yeah.
You have
So, yeah.
to work your way up the
You can
ranks.
take a quick trip outside. You can, Camille here, he has a Harkonnen ornithopter.
Oh, my favorite.
So
That's a nice looking one.
I love that so much
Yeah.
because it actually looks like a dragonfly. It actually
It
looks
does.
like
Yeah.
an insect. It's
And
so interesting.
You get that in the same way, right?
Yes.
Progressing through the ranks and
Yes,
unlocking it.
exactly.
Yeah. So here you can see the base. You have a ground section, and then as you go up, you see built up on the ledge there, I built another base basically, but they're all connected. If you keep to the same grid, you can connect over big areas and vertically. So this is just as a tip to, if you're in your building, just keep on the same grid, keep everything connected, and it will all match up. So you can see the unique round pieces here of the Harkonnen. Yeah, those decorated, those big heads are really awesome.
I agree.
And the gate with the huge face. You can see there.
Yeah, this is an amazing looking base.
It is though. Like
The
it's
first time I
huge.
saw it, I could hardly believe it.
Yeah, but also it's like it's so much bigger than it looks from here because
Yeah.
you're like really outside in the ornithopter, and it's actually really
Yeah.
massive. It's super massive.
But this shows you can really be creative here,
Yes.
find a cool place, start building. And especially if you get into building, if you get a bit, experienced, you can do this in not too long. Like if you have the resources, I can build this in maybe a day and maybe a little bit more, but you
Yeah.
can build it quite quickly.
And it's really
well,
tailored
you're very
here.
experienced as well. Yeah.
I have built, it has helped building, dozens of cities in Conan Exiles.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's still, it's a thrill always to build in Dune Awakening, I think.
Talking about creativity, we have actually done a call to action in our internal beta, and we asked everyone really, we asked everyone in the beta to send us their buildings. So we're gonna do a contest now where Twitch chat, unfortunately, our bot is not working on YouTube for whatever reason. We apologize for that, but Twitch can vote. We will show you. We picked 5 of our favorites that were submitted, and we will let you vote in chat. The first prize will get a Ultimate Edition for Dune Awakening, and the 4 runner-ups will all get a Deluxe Edition. Wait, what was that? Sorry. Yes.
So that's
So
mine
that's
again.
base
There we go.
number A.
There we
So
go.
There we go.
So now we go. Now we have it. So if you want to vote, you do exclamation mark A, B, C, D, or E in chat. And then you vote for that specific building. But obviously, wait until we see all of them and then start voting.
Here we have a Harkonnen style base.
And it's huge.
Yeah.
So you can see the round shapes. It's
This is amazing.
I
Just
captured-
this view is really
I
fantastic.
captured this video yesterday, and there's lots of cool bases here, and they're really big. And just a thing to point out here, the servers are so full of bases. You see them everywhere basically. So it's really awesome to see how much people are building.
Also,
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that we have actually mostly judged by the look from the outside, plus also accessibility, how it will kind of work in the setup and everything, how it was built in the terrain, because we didn't really have as much, what is it called? We didn't
Focus on
focus
interior.
that much on interior because not everyone had access to those. So we apologize for that in advance, and we definitely have more opportunities down the line. So here we have another Atreides space.
Yeah, and Submission B here has built a long wall similar to what I did for the Atreides space. You can
Yes.
get like a really nice view, like overhanging the edge. And yeah, it's pretty big also this. And you can see the unique Atreides pieces. It's really cool to see how creative the players are. And
Absolutely.
and as you know, after launch, we'll just see more and more of it.
Also this one,
Yeah.
a
That's a great
fantastic
looking one.
point.
Yeah.
A fantastic point as well to choose for your building because it has such an amazing view from up there.
Yeah. And this is showing how you can use even the
Beautiful.
angular pieces to make a bit more organic shapes on a larger scale, right? Which they clearly have done here.
In this space, they've actually combined a little bit of Harkonnen with Atreides.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. which is possible if you
If you betray one
Yeah.
faction.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is built in the Udam, so it's a very creative region there.
Also, this one, obviously, maybe hard to tell which faction this is for.
Yeah.
The eagle here is quite
It's
stunning.
a little
I
bit of a
think.
giveaway, yeah,
Yeah.
regarding
The Atreides
what
Hawk, I
faction
mean,
that
yeah.
is. It's very cool.
It's cool. This one has a good interior also, this base. So I did a capture here going up, showing off a little bit here.
You see that a little
Some
bit.
great balconies here too.
Yeah.
It's just a really great usage of the space as well. And here we have another Harkonnen one.
We have a huge garage there, it looks
Yeah.
like as well.
Can
That's
really
nice.
fly thopters in
Yeah.
there.
That's
It's
great.
like you can actually fit the carrier into that one.
This is built in the very corner of the shield wall, and there you can see a really nice interior there. So, it's a huge base. The tower is staggeringly tall.
Oh yeah.
And this is, remember, if you just increase your base, the land size vertically, you can keep on building up.
So, as I mentioned, we have actually chosen 5 that we showed you now, but we also want to show you some of the honorable mentions that we really liked as well, but they didn't make it into the top 5. This is fantastic as well.
Yeah.
It's very creative.
Very
Pineapple.
spiky. Yeah.
Wasn't there was a little thing that I think Ignacy wanted to put on this? It's like, is this the fit? There we go.
Yeah,
Favorite
there we go.
pizza topping. It's okay.
That's great.
Perfect. Favorite pizza topping. There is no discussion.
Oh, look
Pineapple
at
balls
that.
on pizza.
Yeah,
this is really cool
it-
too.
yeah,
Very
it-
creative.
It's built with Atreides pillar foundations to make this sort of lattice work here. It's
love
very
that.
creative.
I love that a lot. as
Just a
well.
bit of a cage feeling
Yeah,
to it.
It shows you
Yeah.
can just go nuts if you want to.
And this one, of
Yes.
course.
Oh wow.
Like the scorpion, yes. It's
Yeah.
just absolutely crazy. Like,
It's really
That's
cool.
very creative.
and
Yeah.
that's like the beta testers. Imagine once the game releases and we have like
That's
maybe
incredible.
millions, I don't know, people play a game, but it's like I just can't wait to see what players will create. I mean, this is just
This one I hear is a dedicated toilet.
that's a toilet.
Yes. So I did take a photo of myself there.
That's amazing.
So
That's
Love it.
nice for the passerby, right?
Yeah.
yes.
And then a little homage to Shai Hulud, obviously. Also absolutely fantastic, so creative.
Yeah, it's really cool.
After being eaten too many times.
Yeah, I know. It's
Please
just
not
like,
again. I'll build a statue.
It's like a prayer thing. It's
Yeah.
like if I'm. All right, so we are closing the poll in a few seconds, and it seems we have a clear winner actually. Yeah, so it looks like.
Let's see.
Do we have the
He was, I
results?
think he was
I wonder who it is.
46% for option C. Can we show that again,
Oh
maybe?
wow.
That's the pineapple.
Yeah, so C is the base built in Udam. This
There
one.
we
we
go.
go.
Yes.
Congratulations
Nice.
to option C, who won
It's a really good
an
one.
ultimate edition of Dune Awakening. And everyone else in those top 5, like the 4 runner-ups, will get a deluxe edition as well. So thank you so much. And also, we have a surprise for the honorable mentions. They will all get a standard edition as well. Plus, a little surprise for everyone in the beta who has submitted a build who didn't make it into the stream. We have a little surprise for you as well. More on that in the Discord, though. There will be a message for you later.
A small comment on the winner there. It was a lot of decorated interiors also, so
Yes.
that base had, the builder had really put effort in here.
Yes, I'm actually, I mean, obviously, I'm a little bit sad that we couldn't put more weight on interior design, but it was just not fair to the ones who didn't have those unlocked. So we couldn't really do that. Again, as I mentioned, you'll have more opportunities, but some of the interior designs that we saw in the submissions are absolutely mind-blowing. And maybe we will probably have, I would assume we will have a post sometime down the line where we show those buildings a little bit more and also like show some of the interior design. I think that would be very cool. But yes, I think we can wrap up the building segment here. Leo and Torikil, thank you so very much for being here and talk to us about building. And we are going into the next segment, which is story and narrative. And for that, we actually gonna watch another trailer first.
So then, you're not quite dead.
Great plots are afoot in the Imperium. And the currents of intrigue run deeply. You will go to Arrakis as our agent. You have one task. Find the Fremen. Wake the sleeper.
You were sighted fleeing the scene of a terrible crash. Who are you?
You've heard the expression, the spice must flow. I am the man who ensures that it continues to do so.
I dreamed of you. Burst in fire. Twin comets in the sky. The seer of lies. I am terrified of what happens when you awaken.
We've all lost our way. You can complete the mission.
Every person carries their past with them. Who are you?
And welcome back after this fantastic trailer. It's probably one of my favorite trailers because I am very much interested in the story and cinematics as well. And I'm very excited to have two guests here now with me to talk about just that. So first of all, we have Leah Talbot, Associate Lead Narrative Designer. Leah, you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yeah, sure. Hello, I'm Leah Talbot. So I've been working at Funcom for about 2 years now. And yeah, before that, I worked for a couple of years at Ubisoft, same in narrative. But yeah, this is behind me now. I'm very happy to be working on Dune.
Oh, we're happy to have you. Stole you away. Very happy to have you. And then also we have Niels Ryborg here, who is a producer for character narrative and cinematics as well. So he has lots to talk to us about as well. Niels?
A little bit of everything. Hello, I'm Nils. I've been with Funcom for, I think, 5 years now? Something like that?
Probably.
Hard to keep track. For this, I worked at Paradox Interactive, also stolen away by the greedy Norwegians, but very happy to be
Sorry,
here.
not sorry. Yes, so talking about the story, of course, we also have to talk about
The alternative
alternative timeline. Yes, and it's a little bit of a edge to walk. It's a bit of a balance for us, of course, because we want to talk about story and narrative, but also we don't want to spoil anything. That would be a shame. But Leah, talk to us about the alternate timeline.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So if you haven't seen some of the cinematics yet, basically you will be exploring the universe of Dune as you already know it. However, as opposed to the story of the books or the movies that you all already know, this version of the Dune universe is a bit different because of one
A little
big.
A little bit.
Just a tad.
Just a little bit. A little bit different.
Oh yes, a little bit different because of one major event, one choice that Jessica made to bear a daughter instead of a boy. So there is no Paul in this timeline of ours. So this, in turn, allowed Jessica to be rewarded with training as a truth-sayer by the Bene Gesserit, the order to which she belongs. And this knowledge has allowed her to see through Dr. Yue's deception. And this is how the Atreides were warned ahead of time of what was going to happen. And they managed to survive the Battle of Arrakeen. So in our timeline, Duke Leto is alive, the Atreides are still around, and the Harkonnen as well, because they are not giving up on Arrakis. They are very set on claiming the planet back. And this is basically where we start up in the game. We are stuck in a universe where those two houses are still embroiled in a long war, a very long conflict. And this is basically where we are launching the players. So you'll be meeting a lot of the characters that you already know. Some of them are still alive, like, I don't know, Peter de Vries, who wasn't killed at the beginning of the story.
Minor spoiler.
Very minor. But I mean, the whole Harkonnen house is around, so, well.
So there's a lot of characters that you can actually meet that might not be around otherwise. But also there was a specific decision why we actually did that, right? Maybe Niels, you can comment on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So really everything with this alternate timeline is built around the idea that we need to get some kind of player agency into the game, right? So people familiar with the books or with the movies know that Paul, inevitably becomes the Kwisatz Haderach. He gains the ability to see the future as it's going to unfold. And for people who are fans of the later books, they know how he also kind of gets trapped in the future. He cannot fully change it. He simply knows that it's going to happen, right? Now, in any video game, it should be a little bit more about the player and a little bit less about the big kind of main story person who isn't you. It would kind of suck if all the decisions that you go in and try and make don't really amount to anything because everything is already predetermined, right? So getting rid of Paul gives us the ability to have a story that is actually more dynamic. Suddenly, who you ally yourself with and the people you choose to help or not to help, it can all kind of have an actual real impact on the story, right? And it's been really interesting because it's also kind of changed how we work with the IP holders, for instance, right? So we work with the Herbert estate, of course, to kind of go through everything story related, make sure everything's signed off and happy. But our conversations, due to this choice, become much more frequently about like what are the natural consequences of the world that's been created from Paul not existing, as opposed to just being like, hey, is this in the book? Yes, no. So it's been more dynamic, much more lively, which has been a really exciting way of working with an IP.
It's also nice that we got that stamp of approval from the Herberts as well, right? So not people got to say like, well, they just did whatever they wanted, which is not the case really, because we did kind of throw it back as well, and there is reasons for that change that are very important for the game as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting, right? To kind of get in and delve into the world where, like Leia was mentioning, right? Like we've got characters like Peter de Vries or Duncan Idaho who are still around. They're not dead. Spoiler. In our version of the game, and so you get the opportunity to potentially meet and talk to some of them.
Also, talking about meeting people that you do not necessarily have to know the Dune universe, right? Like you can still jump into the game and it will still be interesting.
Yes, absolutely. Obviously, we are, for all the Dune fans out there, we pay very close attention to the lore. Obviously, writing something, an alternate timeline, is not basically a creative license to do whatever we want. So we stay faithful to Frank's books in particular, but for the whole, to the whole canon in general. And for the newcomers, the people who don't know Dune, who maybe just only watched the movie when it came out, this is a game that they can perfectly pick up, no problem. We introduce a lot of the concepts ourselves, obviously, when they become relevant. Otherwise, the player will just get to explore the world and learn about all those things by themselves. And so they shouldn't be scared of playing this game.
Exactly.
They will be welcomed with open arms.
So we can say that we have actually, especially for the survival game genre, which we're not only survival game, but for the survival game genre, we have a very important and really laid out and thought through story, including like cinematics and full voiceovers and everything. So do you have to play through the story, or I'm pretty sure people will?
So, like most game, we have an introduction, which is basically the main story, telling you how to play the game. Basically, a big tutorial teaching you how to survive on Arrakis. You will need some guidance, let me tell you. This is not an easy task. And the main story is there in the beginning to guide you a little bit and help you get your bearings in this very hostile world. But then past a certain point, when you've acquired all the schematics that you need, you basically don't have to follow the main story if this is not your thing, if you are just a hardcore survival player. Yeah, I agree, obviously. I think you absolutely should play the main story. I think it's great. I think it's a lot of fun. It's full of surprises and little twists.
Oh, I agree,
so
yes.
Please do play it.
Especially if you want to know what your role is in this whole world. I think it's very interesting to play through the story. But it's nice that you have the option to choose, because if you're not that interested in story-driven, in the story-driven part of the game, you don't have to later on, which I also think is nice for people who really are not interested in. But again, do it. Like really, you will regret it if you don't. Just let me put that out there. But anyway, talking about main story, are there other narrative or story elements that you can experience in the game?
Yes, of course.
As if I didn't know the answer.
No, I mean, exactly. But it's like, of course, we're making a survival game. It's not necessarily a genre that is like super focused on storytelling normally, but we're also working with the Dune IP. And it would be such a waste not to make full use of it, right? Like 100%. This is a very personal and political and philosophical IP, and we try and really emulate that in a lot of the both gameplay choices, but also in the story choices, right? So like was already mentioning, part of the way we tutorialize you into kind of how to survive on Arrakis, it's kind of driven both through gameplay and story kind of intermingling. You need to do a bit of story in order to get to the game. You need to do a bit of game to get into the story, right? And we continue kind of with this philosophy for most things. Like survival is not something that you do entirely on your own. Humans have never really done that, right? And so other people will be involved, other characters. And the second you have characters involved, drama, stories kind of naturally unfold. One of the things, for instance, story-wise that you can get into is, at the start of the game, you pick what your background is. Where are you from? Who are you? Who is your mentor, right? Who your mentor is decides what your starting ability is. But unlike certain MMOs, we're not really class-based. You're not locked into like, I am this person. You have the ability to learn really anything from most of the great schools, which is, in my opinion, really cool. But if you want to learn the kind of the weirding ways of the Bene Gesserit, or kind of how to be a sword master, or anything of that kind, if you're familiar with the IP, you'll know like these are skills that are difficult to acquire. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. If you want to learn them, you're going to need a teacher, a trainer. And if you want someone to invest that kind of time in you, you need to convince them that you're worth their time, right? So we've got storylines revolving around, Bene Gesserit, sword masters, mentats, and so on, existing on Arrakis that you need to track down, find, convince that you are worthy of their time, and help them out a bit. Maybe they'll help you out.
And those are not just like side quests or so, they're also like, I was kind of blown away, just throwing that out there, because I'm a Swordmaster. As some of you might know who saw the combat stream, I love Swordmaster. And when I had to go out and actually work on getting kind of my faction up, so to speak, with the advanced Swordmaster, I was surprised. I was like, fully voiced cinematics coming my way. So that was actually pretty cool. I mean, they're not super long, so don't get worried that you have to sit through like hours of cinematics or so, but I thought that was very cool. I have to say, like, again, I was very surprised about that specifically.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we're kind of passionate about is characters having a purpose, right? So even with the launch offering of the game, we're not going to be done with some of these characters just with launch. You will see some of these becoming a recurring cast over the future as well.
Exciting. So, Leah, some other things that we can expect, story and narrative-wise?
Yeah, I mean, it's still an open world game. So as such, it doesn't just have the main story. It has, as Niels mentioned, a lot of different content, side quests, people you meet, factions you'll encounter. This is a world that is in turmoil, that is always off balance. There is no like big power keeping all of these people in order. So there's a bit of a power vacuum. So there's a lot going on in this world, and we make sure to pack it with a lot of content and a lot of lore. We have the CommuniNet, for example, which is the local radio. We have a bunch of different channels playing Atreides or Harkonnen propaganda, and those are very fun to listen to while you're mining away, surviving, sweating, dying in the desert, being eaten by a worm. Well, at least you'll be soon.
Not so much fun.
By the voice of on the other side of the radio.
Yeah, talk about the CommuniNet, or also we discussed, of course, the fully voiced little cinematics as well that you get, like during the Swordmaster or Mentor questline specifically. We just recently did release the first episode of 5 Days at Carthag, which is also exciting because it actually tells you a little bit about the background of the world as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, so I mean, as with any developer of any game, right, like we're very passionate about the stories and the lore that we built up. But of course, not everybody's interested in going around and reading every little text snippet that you put into the game. At some point, it becomes a bit tedious. We understand that as well, right? And, you know, 5 Days of Carthag, a fun little radio play on the Harvester Guild radio, is a kind of a fun way of helping introduce a little bit of that backstory, right? So, you know, like we were mentioning before, this is a game, this is a world where the Atreides and the Harkonnen are in an active conflict. Now, people familiar with the map of Arrakis know that Carthag, which is, you know, the Harkonnen kind of stronghold, and Arrakeen, which is where the Atreides are based out of, they're way too close together for these conflicts to kind of really feel good and natural. So for pragmatic reasons, Carthag kind of needed to go. And so Carthag's been destroyed. They're building a new Carthag a bit further away, which is really cool. And there's, of course, a bunch of story explaining how this all happened. And with 5 Days of Carthag, you get the officially approved by the Empire story of what happened.
Officially approved.
They've gone through
might
every...
or might not be.
I wouldn't comment on that. That would be spoiler territory.
Don't get any soda cars my way. Yeah, don't send the soda cars my way. But so one thing that I personally think is very exciting. So it also goes a little bit into the trailer, because when I first heard some of the segments for some of the cinematics of one of the characters that is also featured in the trailer, I was like, I know that voice. I know that voice. I knew it because I played. Oh, I'm actually just touching my microphone. Apologies to the viewers. I recognized immediately that's Reinhardt from Overwatch. And then I saw also, like, when we actually released the story trailer, there were so many comments on YouTube as well. I was like, that's what is his name, Valkyrian or something? Yeah, but the Destiny 2 character Valkyrian, I think, or something. Anyway, I haven't played Destiny 2 that much, but there were so many people recognizing the Paul immediately. And besides him, which has an absolutely fantastic voice, we have quite a lot of voice actors. I mean, we have a huge cast of amazing voice actors, and there's just a few that, yes, absolutely. And there's a few in there that are very easily recognizable. One of them, I think she is actually in 5 Days of Karthak, is I again remember Symmetra from Overwatch.
Anjali Bhimani.
Yes, exactly.
She's fantastic. She does a really good job in that play, and you know, overall, the whole cast we've been working with has been fantastic. I mean, you've mentioned a couple of them already.
Kitten. I'm sorry, that's also a little bit, it's not a spoiler, it's just like part of one of the cinematics we're getting.
Yeah, I mean, people who played the closed beta will be familiar with who this character is. I will not go into spoiler territory, but it's voiced by the wonderful Mara Junot, who any session.
Evelyn from League of Legends.
Yes, she does a fantastic job on that one as well. I think she's been in a couple of different things.
Absolutely
God of War,
fantastic.
Arcane,
Yeah, tons.
all
Pretty much all those voice actors have a huge. So we are very fortunate and very.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel very privileged to have these voice actors in game. One last one I want to mention though, which is actually. He was part of one of my favorite game series ever, and he voiced one of my favorite game characters ever in Mass Effect. Garrus.
Yes. Renan Keener. He's fantastic. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything.
No, please
don't. People who are a fan of the Atreides will get very well acquainted with his character.
Yes.
I think someone might be willing to spoil a bit more. I'm looking over at Leia if she wants to.
Yes, because when you come to like one of the first trade posts, you there's a really cool cinematics. I don't want to spoil that either. But there's a very cool little cinematic between an Atreides rep and a Harkonnen rep that he might or might not be part of. Who knows? But anyway, talking about that, Leah, talk about the factions a little bit and how they.
Yeah, as we've mentioned before, the Atreides and the Harkonnen are still around. They are kind of the big, iconic houses of Dune, so they had to be here, obviously. And you, as a player, had to be able to join them if you want. Of course, this is all of this is optional, but still, you can try to tip the scale a little bit in favor of one of these houses. Which again are embroiled in this long, exhausting war. It's been 10 years, so we are 10 years after the Battle of Arrakeen. That's when we start the game. So it's been quite a long time, and both houses have exhausted a lot of their resources. They are tired. They want a way out, and you're going to explore an Arrakis that's basically war-torn, that's been really shaped by this war. And you, as a player, you will be able to pick a side, so you won't be able to play both sides, sorry. So, well, let's say that the choice doesn't have to be permanent if you don't want it to be, but betrayal has consequences. And that's all I'm going to say about this.
Yes, but I think also another thing that is probably for you as narrative designer and storytellers is very interesting, that we do have both factions still on the planet, because it gives you more time to also explore their, what drives them, what are their ambitions, and also maybe that things are not always as black and white as some people might think, right, Niels?
I mean, like Leah was mentioning, right? Like it's been 10 years. They've been going at this for a decade. People familiar with the kind of original books will know that it wasn't just that the House Harkonnen themselves decided that they just wanted to get rid of the Atreides. There were larger forces at play, and that is still the case kind of in the lead up to our story. I mean, the Emperor kind of didn't really want the Duke around. He was a bit of a threat, right? Now, in our version of the story, the Atreides kind of survived that assault, which puts the Emperor in a very awkward situation, which is why he's kind of forced this war to be allowed, quote unquote, right? It distracts everybody. They're fighting each other. But now the Harkonnen are stuck in a long war. They're exhausting all their resources. And the Atreides, they're kind of forced into a world where, like, hey, I can't just be the honorable kind of white knight all the time. I'm stuck in a decade-long war. Sometimes they're going to make choices that are not as pretty as they would like, and with enough time, reality starts to set in. Like you don't come out of a war unscathed. You'll get to explore a lot of kind of the effects of a long war and kind of how it's affected both of the sides as you get into the early mid parts of the game and then throughout it afterwards. So look forward to it. We put a ton of effort into it, and we're very excited.
Yeah. And maybe it's, as we mentioned, always so black and white in regards to who are the bad guys and who are the good guys. Maybe the things are kind of gray and...
I'll let you guys decide.
Yes, we'll see. Well, I'm still a Harkonnen, always. Anyway, yeah, see, like, high five. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I think that's a good point because we actually ended with the factions, and we're gonna go soon into our next segment, which also which will also include the Landsrat. So we'll discuss factions again there. But before we do that, Leah, Niels, thank you so much for making time for us and for chatting with me about the story and the narrative. I hope that future players are really excited, and that some of you who might not be that interested in story normally will just still give it a go, because I really do feel it is worth it. It's fun. There is some really cool voice actors. There's some really great cinematics, fully voiced. Even in the smaller part, like we just discussed, like the mentor storylines, side quests and things. So there's definitely a lot to look forward to. All right,
Absolutely.
before we jump into the next segment, however, we will have another quick video for you.
Few survive this world, but those who do awaken. The desert wants you dead, Off-worlder. If the sands don't take you, the storms will swallow you whole. But you don't have to walk this path alone. In every danger, there is opportunity. The foundation of something greater. A power waiting to be harnessed. Desert power. Some claim to rule this planet. But Arrakis is yours to explore. To fight for. To conquer. But there are forces beyond even your control. Master Arrakis, and it will open your mind. This is your path to awakening.
Welcome back. I have now two new guests with me to talk about Exchange and the Landsrat. One of them is Joel Bylos, first time on this streamer, first timer on this stream, never seen before. We did let him out of the doghouse again. So for those of you who wondered, Joel, creative director on Dune Awakening. You want to introduce yourself quickly?
Sure.
For those of you who don't know him.
This week, my name is Al Gaib.
Okay, there you go.
And yeah, I'm the creative director on Dune Awakening, and I've had to change sponsor due to something that happened during the last podcast. Sorry, live stream. So I've switched sponsors now.
All right, so we just balance it out between Coke and Pepsi, all good. And then we have a first timer on the stream, Amar Zouari. Welcome to you as well.
Thank you.
Senior designer, Funcom. You want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yes, I'm Amar, senior designer on Dune Awakening. I mostly work with systems such as the Landsrad, what we call hazards, such as quicksand, drum sand, and sandworm.
Sandworm, master of the
Master
worm.
Sandworm. What was it like the godfather of sandworms? No, what was it?
The worm father.
The worm father. Yes, the worm father. There we go. So if you make the acquaintance of one of our worms, you can blame Amar. Well, the whole team really working under him, but he had a big say in it. So yeah, obviously we do have social mechanics in the game, and there is a way for players to kind of influence economy, politics, a lot of those things. And one of the social aspects that we kind of modeled a little bit after traditional MMOs is the exchange, which is basically our auction house. Joel, you want to go a little bit more into what that actually looks like?
Sure, I mean, you can probably see it on the screen right now, hopefully.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's like, this is one of the reasons why we think Dune pushes a little bit beyond your average survival game, because we have this worldwide, and when I say world, I'm talking about our definition of world, which is battle groups in other games. It's kind of a definition where we have a bunch of these sietches, which are the servers, and they all connect to a single world, and within that world there's a single exchange, which means people are able to sell and buy things off the exchange across these spaces, which means that you can, you know, obviously it's standard thing, people have seen it in MMOs for a long time, but the cool thing about our game is we have these dynamic elements that can be bought and sold on the exchange, and we really tried to bring sort of to focus some of the things from like from the advantages that this type of game has. For example, freeform building. So you'll be able to craft the buildings, as you saw earlier, save them to the replicator that we showed, I think, in the earlier part of the live stream. And then you'll be able to go to an exchange, preview someone else's building sets, and then purchase them, bring them home, and then place out your own buildings. And obviously fill them in. So kind of the idea here is that we have this dynamic content. It means that people who play this role of architects, which is something that we've seen as I think a new kind of play style that comes out of these kind of games, these survival, you know, open world crafting games. People who are architects are actually able to make a living, hopefully, by selling really cool designs on the exchange to other players. And of course we'll have people who make beautiful artistic things like the scorpion we saw that was really cool and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, then we'll also have people who are like sweaty PvP raiders who are really like making their honeycomb boxes to put out in the deep desert. So hopefully, you know, this creates some sort of economy around this, and that's kind of one of the coolest things about our exchange.
Yeah. I also think it's really cool because, again, if you don't like to build, you can just go there and get something really cool if you wanted to. Maybe you want something, but you don't want to spend the time to actually design it. So I think this is a very, very cool feature. And there is, of course, other things that you can as well.
Yeah, so another really interesting sort of dynamic thing that you can put on the exchange is in our cartography system, players go out and they survey, and we've talked about this a bit. You go and survey areas, and when you have surveyed an area, you can basically print out a sync chart, which is obviously a name from the lore. Print out a sync chart of the area that you've been surveying, and that basically fills in all the resources and all of the things that you've seen on the map. You can go to the exchange with a printout of your sync charts and sell those sync charts to other players. So it's, you know, for Haggard Basin South, the starting region, the areas are fairly set. But of course the deep desert resets every week. And there are 81 different zones in the deep desert that need to be basically set up in this way. Yeah, surveyed and printed out. So we see this as kind of an activity that we'll see players doing, right? Both in a guild, you probably have dedicated scouts who go out, survey the deep desert, try to get as much of the resource information as possible, bring it back and hand it out to their guildmates. But in addition to that, we'd also expect there to be independent contractors, people who go out to the deep desert, survey, and then sell their maps on the exchange. And hopefully you can also get a reputation as being someone who's very thorough, someone who does a good job of the cartography loops of the game. So people start to recognize, okay, this person's a good cartographer. I'm going to buy their maps. They're generally up to date for the week and they're generally in good shape. So hopefully, again, just like the architect, we want that to be a style of play that people can really lean into. It's the same with cartography. We hope that there are scouts and people who lean into this map-making side of the game.
So also, like, as you just mentioned, Deep Desert is so huge. Even if you're a big guild, you won't have time or the resources to actually really survey everything. And maybe you don't find that spot that has like super saturated resources. And then someone actually goes out. It might be a single player that isn't even like, it might even be a PvE player that might just try to sneak around all the PvP stuff, and they still have the opportunity to kind of make a dent here and be important in the context of everything, especially the deep desert. So I think that's pretty cool. And then we can also talk about the Explorer, for example. That's also another thing that there's an opportunity for explorers here as well, of course.
Sure, I mean, yeah, so we have the unique schematic system in the game. We've talked about this as well, where players are able to find unique schematics, but they're limited creation runs. So you can only like create the item that you find in the unique schematic one time. So you want to find multiple versions of the schematic in order to like save that up and then craft more. So if you go and find a very rare schematic that nobody else has found, you can make a choice. You can either sell the schematic itself on the exchange to another player, which they can then obviously purchase and craft, or you can craft the item yourself and sell that on the exchange. So you also have this choice of how to approach putting things on the exchange, whether you want to be known as the person who crafts this very specific rare thing, or whether you want to be, someone who just like sells any interesting schematics you find on the exchange for other people to pick up. And this is something that also allows, like, the Deep Desert is a PvP area, and we know that some people never want to go in a PvP area ever, but they'll be able to get the items from the Deep Desert, hopefully on the exchange, as other players who are willing to go there will sell them as well. So there's hopefully this crossover. And again, going back to the guild layer, we're hoping that, like, there are some people, I think guilds will have this multifaceted approach where you have your scouts, your architects, your crafters, and your PvPers, right, and PvEers. So people who go out with different tasks and then they come back and they all work together to create the full stack.
Yes.
And I think guild activities is going to be something we talk about very soon.
Yes, we will. But also, like, just to mention that again, so that's every archetype basically is kind of important in the big picture, which I think is an important point to mention here. Now, obviously, you can't just access the exchange from anywhere, right? I mean...
Yes. Yeah, nice lead in.
I know, I'm trying. That wasn't the best one, though, I admit.
Of course, the exchange is only available in the social hubs.
Yes.
So Harco Village and Arakeen. This is because we want players to deal with a bit of logistics, but we also want players to see other players a
it's
lot,
nice,
right? And the Deep Desert is a big, lonely place until you get,
depending
until
if
you get the crap
interest.
kicked out of you by someone else.
Yes.
But then there's like the Haggard Basin is a place where you can meet and hang out with people. But the social hubs are really designed to be the place where you see a lot of other players, and the exchange is a location that pulls you in, and like you'll see. We've all had this feeling in MMOs when you go to the auction house and there's 50 people around, and you can understand that this is actually a world with a lot of people in it.
You also have to go there to pay taxes, though, which is kind of like a little bit of a bummer as well. So you can't just spend your money either paying taxes or spend your money buying cool stuff, or make money to pay your taxes. There's the other thing.
Actually, forgot to pay my taxes for 2 weeks in the beta, and I came back to a sad base that I had to repair.
Well,
that's my fault.
Well, that's all on you. That is all on you. Also, like, if you just had the small sub fee, it wouldn't be an issue in the first place.
And I could have paid the taxes in advance.
It's a little doghouse that will let you out, like Joel's doghouse, like you mentioned. Yeah, exactly.
I've been in it for a week.
Until the next 2 weeks almost. Yes. So, obviously, that was one of the aspects that players can actually kind of take part in the economy. But more importantly, players can also take part in politics. That brings us to the Landsraad system. Before we go into the actual mechanics and what that looks like, Joel, maybe you can give us a little bit of a background of how that actually fits into the Dune lore.
Yeah, so the Landsraad is the High Council that deals with the Emperor in the books, right? It's kind of this political body. They have some influence on the policies of the Imperium. It's described as a political tripod with the Emperor and the Landsrat and the Spacing Guild. This is but in our game, yes, the Landsrat have the ability to create decrees that then impact the entirety of Arrakis and affect the ongoing war. And the way that we've designed this system is that player factions, the Atreides and Harkonnen, are attempting to get votes in the Landsrat so that they can impact the overall structure of this. And so the idea here is just to really create and it is an end game activity driver is what I call it, right? It's a way of creating a system where people are asked to do activities to help their faction earn votes in the Landsrat. And the Landsrat then has a voting session, and Amar's going to talk a little bit more about how that all works out. The only thing I will say, in addition to that, is that the Landsrat takes place across like a series of servers. Just like I mentioned, the Exchange does the same thing. So there's one Landsrat for a world. A world contains multiple servers within it. So it isn't just like a few people competing, it's everybody in that world competing and all the factions in that world. And we will have a look at how the reputations and stuff come to play in this.
Yeah, I think we can basically just dive into it and show what it actually looks like game mechanic.
The only piece I find.
A few assets here that we can show you.
Yeah, so the Landsrat Week, it's a cycle that lasts a week. And to be eligible to participate, players need to align themselves to a faction and be part of a guild that is aligned to the same faction. And the week starts with players having to go out into the world and find the representatives of the 25 Landsrat houses and basically convince them to reveal their requirement for the week. And these change every week. And as you can see here, the player has found one of these representatives and can try to convince them to reveal their requirement for that week.
So there's several ways to convince them to like reveal their kind of goals to you, and there's also depending on which great house that you're actually talking to, so they change those goals. So one thing is of course doing chores for them in a way, like chores, but then you can also, there's also other ways, right, that you can convince them.
You can bribe them, some of them.
Straight out.
Some of them are not bribable. And yeah, that will reveal their requirement for the week, and then players can immediately start completing that.
And some of them, I believe, also react to your background that you chose in character creation. So they might like you more if you're from a certain background or a certain caste in the universe, and therefore they might provide more information freely.
Faster as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you get to that faster. And the reason that you should get to that kind of, you should reveal that fast is kind of something that we're going to show after now, so we can actually kind of switch to that and show the board, kind of the Landsrat board. Here we go. Yes.
Yeah, this is the Landsrat board. How it looks at the start of the week, where you can see there are these 25 great houses shown, but you don't know what they require you to do that week. So once you have revealed the tasks, it will tell you and your whole faction what you need to do to complete it.
And of course, the earlier you do that, the more time you have as well to actually work on those.
And each square on this board represents a major house of the Landsrat, and these are the representatives that you're looking for in the world.
Yeah, and if you don't manage to reveal, over time they will reveal themselves. And as you can see, there are different things they require of you. Some will require you to harvest resources or craft items such as steel suits or rapiers and deliver them. They might ask you to deliver vehicles such as sandbikes, ornithopters. Those are tasks more for the crafters, the PvEers. There's also exploration tasks that ask you to travel out into the world, find crashed shipwrecks, buried treasures that contain specific things that some of the houses will ask for. And there's also the possibility for PvPers to progress these tasks by taking over control points in the deep desert that are basically territory that these houses want in the deep desert.
I think an important point to mention is also that you do actually need to not only be, you don't only need to belong to a faction, you also need to actually be in a guild to be able to participate in this.
Yeah.
Yep.
So here we have a few of those. I think we can go now further to actually show what your goal is on this bingo card, so to speak.
Yeah. So as the factions complete tasks, they will show up on the board in their color, and this progresses throughout the week.
We need to go back to the previous board if we can, and perfect, and just leave it there for a sec. Thank you.
Yeah, and this is actually from the beta, and you can see that this week Atreides has absolutely crushed Harkonnen, but you can also see here that Harkonnen has won last week because they have the active decree. But this is where you compete, and towards the end of the week, basically the faction that has the most tasks completed by the end of the week will win. But there's also the possibility of faction winning before that time by completing a row of 5 tasks, which we call a sysselråd.
Yeah, it's a very nerdy term pulled from the books, but a sysselråd is basically when a major voting block in the Landsraad works together, and then they basically, so you can win the week by filling out a line. You can block that by, of course, taking votes away. So you can prevent an early victory in the Landsraad by jumping in and completing tasks in a line to prevent other people from doing it. Yeah, it's kind of it's supposed to lead to players being tactical in their approach to how they do this, guilds being tactical in how they work together and against each other in this scenario, right?
And in this case, it's also really fun to talk to another guild and like work together to make sure especially when it comes to that specific. Actually, I'm taking that a little bit too early when it comes to decrees afterwards as well. So if you really don't want one, but anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So yeah, so basically it's a row of either diagonally or vertically or horizontally. If you have all those 5, you actually win a sysselråd,
and then it ends early. But if you don't manage the row,
yeah, then it is the most tasks completed. But I think this is quite interesting because it's not just a battle of effort here or anything. It's also the meta battle of blocking off the other
strategy. There's kind of tactics and strategy involved as well, and not only PvP. As we heard, there's like you can really contribute to this no matter what kind of player you are. If you're a crafter, if you're an explorer, there's something for you to do as well to help your faction or your guild in this case. Also, what's interesting here is you see the placement of the guilds as well, which gets us into rewards. What are some of the rewards that you get from actually participating in this?
Yeah, the main reward that players are fighting over are the decrees. They are significantly powerful and they alter the rules of the game, so to speak. So we have decrees such as access to vendors that provide some of the most powerful items in the game. That includes weapons, armors, tools, vehicles. It can be something as reduced crafting costs for the whole faction for the whole week, or even some more rare ones that are like the one you see on the screen now, where all items are dropped in the deep desert, basically making it a full loot
PvP heaven, basically. Yeah. And I think what's important to mention again is that this is actually for a whole world. So you change basically the rules and the mechanics for a whole world and all the servers or sieges that are part of that world. So it's actually quite a big impact you can have on how the game is played for like a whole week.
Yep.
Which is very exciting. But there's more rewards than, we see a few more decrees here as well. And again, it's important to mention that there's not just PvP decrees that you can do. Like if you can be, we actually discussed that earlier, if you can be like, if you want to be a guild that is all about peace and you really want to kind of stop the PvPers from like doing their thing all the time, you can actively try to block them from, because they want to go for full loot again and stuff like that. So you can actually band together with other guilds and try to kind of counter that in a way, which I think is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, one of the ways you can do that is when when the week ends and the voting session starts, the guild leaders are the ones that can vote on the selection of 3 decrees that week. And they vote with something called voting power that they gain based on how much their members contributed to the tasks. So a PvE guild, as you say, that is very active and contributes a lot, they have more to say on which decree is chosen than a guild that contributes less.
Yep.
So it's not only about the factions winning against the other factions, it's also about which guild within that faction has contributed the most.
Exactly.
Because they get more power
You
to
can
decide.
you can see on the screen that on the two sides you can see the top 5 contributing guilds. So you can sort of also, like, as guilds, you can also think about how you want to climb the ranks. So particularly the Harkonnen, who like to backstab and take over each other's places.
Hey now.
But like it's you can see the same, like with the Atreides. Maybe they're a bit more noble about it, but it's about there's also competitiveness within the guilds, within the factions, as well as this competition between the factions, which is, you know,
You're saying there might be backstabbing
I'm
in between
saying there
the
might
factions.
be plans within plans. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Plans within
absolutely.
plans, and that's kind of the idea here, to build this system. And I want to stress that, like, when the game launches, this will be there, but it won't be as fleshed out as it will be over time, right? Because we'll continue to add more activities, more decrees, so that the game will continue to evolve with different things happening, right? Like, and that's kind of the idea. Like, when we add X, that's going to start showing up in the Landsrad as an activity that we want people to do as a part of the Landsrad. And so this is a system that I feel has, like, an infinite potential to continue expanding as the game expands, and that's kind of our goal as well.
Especially since you don't only have the decree as rewards, there's other things as well. And it's not just the factions that are the winners, even if you lose, but maybe you can comment a little bit on that as well.
Yeah, you have something we call personal rewards that are for each of the houses, and they give everybody who contribute a certain percentage rewards. The rewards can be something like a great amount of Solari, a large amount of endgame components, unique schematics. Again, they're always powerful. And eventually even the house colors of that house as a swatch that you can apply to your own armor. And this is given to players regardless if they win the task or if they don't. And they start at a pretty low percentage, so it should be something that's achievable for many players.
Also on a
even as a
personal
solo.
level. Yeah, that's really cool. And I think it's one of the decrees actually, because you can actually, I'm not sure if we've shown it on the asset, but you can also unlock a special vendor. Like that's, I think is that a decree? I actually not 100% sure. It's a decree, yeah.
There's multiple decrees that unlock different vendors, and they have, as I mentioned
those
before,
unique schematics that you mentioned.
they're very strong schematics, and they also have discounted general endgame gear as well. So there's a double reward there in a way.
And we talk gear, we don't mean just armor and weapons. We also mean tools and other things that are
Vehicles.
interesting, yes, for like any kind of player. Yes, I think that was actually a good overview already. And as mentioned, we have the beta weekend coming up. So no, actually players won't be able to check out the launch at the weekend. Unfortunately, that's a bit,
It takes a bit too long to get
that's
here. This is endgame, right? Like,
yes,
you
it's
can,
a bit too complex.
You can join a faction, you can join a faction in the beta.
You can.
I think you'll be able to join a faction and like start doing quests and get a feel for what's it like to be a Harkonnen on the ground, or what's it like to be an Atreides. But you can't reach the Landsrad in the beta scope that we're going to have on May 9th. But that's that's a part of the surprises. We can't show everything.
No, and it's part of endgame too. Like there's so many other things to do anyway on the way there. Like there's millions of things that you can do for any type of player. But yes, thank you so much, Joel. You're actually going to stay here because you're going to help us with the Q&A.
Nice. This is going to be fun. Ask really spicy questions so that I can give really spicy answers.
Omar, thank you so much for being here. Hopefully we have you on the stream sometime soon. It's really great to have you. Thanks for your for the chat. To mention again, so we have collected questions from you during the stream. We will answer those during the Q&A. Plus, we do have a raffle that we will do during the Q&A. We will actually giving away 1 Ultimate Edition, 1 Deluxe Edition, and 2 Standard Editions from people that we will randomly choose. We will start the raffle in a second once we're done, like with our, like Joel and I, with our our puppet, our in like what is it called when you do not inspo, when you not that when you do stand up, not stand up either. Oh god, that would be horrible. Improv. Thank you. Our improv sock puppets. Yes, we will have Leo back as well for the Q&A to help us with answering some questions. We are gonna mic him up. I'm basically waiting as well. If I can actually hear now. There we go. I cannot hear at the moment. I'm sorry, my earpiece is not working. Let me just turn it up. There we go. Yes. So, changing into videos? We don't have a video here.
We have a magical video.
Oh, we have a magical video I didn't know about. All right, let's watch the video.
The only peace I find is a future that never happened. One where I, Paul Atreides, was never born. I created the future until it created me. But I see a narrow way, a path that might have been. What if my mother had obeyed her orders and given birth to a girl? Everything would change. Dr. Yue exposed before his betrayal. A world where my father lives. House Atreides surviving the Battle of Arrakeen. Sardaukar deployed to protect the spice melange. A war of assassins spreading across the planet. Fremen exterminated. No Muad'Dib. No Lisan al-Gaib. No Kwisatz Haderach. All of my visions lead to horror. Except for this one. This one leads to you.
All right, we are back for the Q&A, and for the Q&A we have Joel here, who is holding for whatever reason a Chris knife. Just make sure like the dangerous, Joel and weapons is dangerous. Anyway, and we also have Leo back to help us with answering the Q&A questions. As mentioned, we also do a raffle during this section. So while I see the wizard behind the scenes preparing this, you'll be able to type exclamation mark "awoo" into the chat. For those of you, for those of you who know, for those of you in the beta, they know, they will know. Also, a reminder that it's unfortunately only on Twitch because our YouTube bot is just not cooperating right now. Apologies for that. We'll definitely make sure that we'll do future raffles for both YouTube and Twitch. Yes, exclamation mark, awoo. Do you want to tell the story about that, Joel, by the way?
I mean, should I? Or is it like an intimate story of me and the players in the beta?
It's just, we had, in the beta, we had an improvised, let's call it improvised voice line that was not finalized. And
it was very well acted.
Very well acted.
And
it was an Atreides, right?
It was an Atreides exhorting her men to do better. And come on, Atreides. Atreides. Awoo.
Atreides.
Awoo.
Awoo.
It was
inspiring, right?
It was inspiring.
Super inspiring.
And
super
it became a meme. And now it's like an inside joke.
Very high energy too. Like you just that one is single-handedly the reason I'm going Harkonnen and Atreides, by the way.
Nice.
You've had enough. Huh?
No, I'm lying.
We've driven you away with our honourable ways.
No, it's the faction things, quite honestly. Anyway.
You just like bold men. I get it.
Sorry, Joel. We give a shit. Okay, anyway, exclamation, woo. But let's start with the Q&A and get the first question here. We have Danaus Matros I'm always awesome with reading out usernames. Will it be possible to mix and match the build sets of both Atreides and Harkonnens, or are we restricted to only one?
Thank you for the crisp knife of speech.
The crypt knife of answering questions.
Yes.
Questions.
So, yes, you can, but it'll be a bit easier to get the first one of those, and then you'll have to do a bit more work in order to secure both.
Jump through some hoops because no one likes to be betrayed.
But you can build with both together.
Yes,
The
exactly.
pieces are standardized, so they will work together for the most part. There is a couple of unique pieces.
Exactly, but should work good.
Yeah, it's going to look amazing.
I mean, I think we've seen actually someone mix the building sets in the building contest.
I think the winning one did.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. I think it was C.
You will, however, be a pariah and an abomination to both factions.
Yeah.
If you choose to use their building sets to create a single building.
Not if you're really good, Joel.
Or if you're a Bene Gesserit and you're trying to get them together, as the law would indicate.
Right.
Anyway, let's go to the next question. Subdacius is asking, will there be faction-specific chat so you can coordinate launch-road strategies without giving away secrets to the enemy? Good question.
It's also a Leo question.
Well, there is no faction-specific chat, but we do have a guild chat, so you can coordinate on a guild level, and that should be helpful to coordinate these type of activities. And it should be possible to also use the area-based chat we have in the region to coordinate with other players nearby to set up some scheming.
And you can also
you
can also listen in if people are stupid enough to use the voice proximity to talk to each other about plans.
Sneak up to their bases.
That happened to some of the streamers that we had going live a few days ago. It's actually really funny. I was listening to, I think it was like French streamers and like English streamers that were listening to French streamers. It was actually kind of funny. Anyway, let's go to
someone's going to punch me for this, but were they coordinating their surrender? Or was it just... No? Okay.
I don't know.
Never mind.
Don't remember. All right. Let's go to the next question. Mandem007 is asking, can certain base equipment be turned off from power drain when you're away from the game to preserve the power drain?
So the way this works is that you need to have a higher level of production than your current use, right? And that allows your shield to stay up. So what you can do is turn off some machines to lower your use, and then you can also turn off some generators to not spend as much energy, right? But there's still a limit to how much fuel you can have stored in the generators, right? So it's not indefinite. But it does make it a lot cheaper for it to last longer.
Yeah, so basically just have the fuel there to power your sub-thief so your base is protected, which is kind of the most important thing.
Yeah,
so
like it's a very simple calculation. One fuel cell lasts 1 hour in a base generator. So it's very easy to have enough fuel to figure out how many hours you have left based on like how much fuel do you have.
I think the sub-thief even tells you now as well.
Yeah,
like you see how much days.
And everything. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we saw that earlier.
But you can turn off, like it doesn't matter that much if you're not above the power usage of the generator. So if the generator makes 75 units of power and you're using 25, 30, 35, 40, whatever, and then you turn off all the things that are using up to 35 or 45, it won't change the rate at which the generator generates power, so it doesn't matter that much to turn them off.
Yeah.
It only matters to turn them off if you're starting to go above what the generator can handle, right? So but as Leo says, the base rate, 1 fuel cell per hour, and then you can stack up enough. I think it's 3 weeks of power right now.
Yeah, or perhaps even longer with the biggest one.
Yep. So it's quite a lot of power that you can. So never fear. We've thought about people who need to go away for a few weeks or whatever and have holidays and things like that.
Just go on holidays for like a half a year or so, basically.
Just get a friend to check in on your base for you if you've got to be away for too long.
Yeah. Boris8489 is asking, would love to know what kind of system is in place to prevent making this always one-side winning.
Sure.
We didn't expect that question at all.
Maybe. We have a couple of systems, one of which I'm definitely not going to talk about because I don't think I should.
No.
And because also then I know people will start trying to game it, and I really dislike it when people do that. So I'll not talk about that one.
The little devil on your shoulder just telling you.
However, there is a new faction that we will add to the game sometime during post-launch, and that faction's job will be to make sure that the Landsrad remains balanced. And there'll be a whole set of different mechanics coming into the game around that third faction. And that's all I'm going to say for now. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. It's not such a, I think, onerous task for people to be able to keep this fairly even if the population dips in a particular direction, right? If you end up with like, you know, a lot more Harkonnen, then you end up with a lot more Atreides on the same world. Shouldn't be the case, but if that happens, it's still completely possible for the Atreides to participate and make changes in the Landsrad. So it should work out. That's basically, but I'm not going to talk about the detailed mechanics behind how that works.
Yeah. We can ask YouTube comments to comment below what they think, what kind of faction we're introducing next.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, let's do that. Just comment on what you think or what you want us to add. Doesn't mean we can add it, but it's still interesting to hear what your thoughts are. Blind shooter, blind shooter zombies. What a fantastic username. How often do you have to pay tax?
Yep, so the way this works is that you'll need to pay tax every 2 weeks. That's a cycle. And to expand on that a little bit more, then if you don't pay the tax at that point, then your taxes will be overdue, but your base shields won't actually be turned off until you forget to pay for another week after that. So you have quite a bit, or another 2 weeks after that. So you have quite a bit of time to pay.
You get a red letter saying "pay now or else."
Pretty much.
Yeah. like low-level starter cars coming to your house and like knocking on the door.
Like my university student days.
About time.
I don't have to pay this yet. It's fine. It's only the second overdue bill.
A third until you get the third overdue
That's how it is.
message. Yeah, exactly. Just
First one is just a suggestion, right?
So Choker DXNK. Apologies if I butcher username. I'm not doing it on purpose, I swear. If someone buys my blueprint, is it a one-time sell and I'll have to list it again?
Yes. So one tool is one use. So you'll have to create the replication process again, right? And then you'll be able to sell it. So this way we ensure that once you've sold your design, it's not out there forever. So you can continuously supply it.
Yeah, it's a consumable, essentially, right? So you sell the blueprint. We're talking about base blueprints, I'm assuming, rather than schematics,
I think so
right?
too. Yeah.
So if you sell your base blueprint, people can consume it once, and that's it, right? They can't consume it infinite times. So if you make cool creations, it's like the ultimate form of copyright thanks to the Imperium.
Yeah, and I can also add that you can't just go up to a random base you find and copy the design, right? You have to have access to the base to be able to do this, high-level access.
Yes, permissions.
And you also have to copy your base again to sell it too.
Yes.
I'm not really sure which of the things they were asking here about, but yeah, just to cover all our bases here. Ha! No pun intended.
Yeah.
No, I meant the base. Anyway, they didn't get it. It's the highliner joke from last time.
Yeah.
Reaper is that a K? Yeah, 2K7. What is the maximum number of bases you can have?
3. So you have different types of sub-fief consoles, right? And you have the basic sub-fief console, you have the advanced sub-fief console, and together, however you split that up, you have a cap of 3 that you can own. You can then have a permission to access any number of other sub-fief consoles or bases, right? But that's just what you are restricted to. And then we also have a further restriction on the number of basic sub-fief consoles at 2.
We haven't actually talked about this in the building part, but you can easily abandon a base via the map, for example. So if you're like, all of a sudden, no, I don't need that like 4x4 box anymore that I made at the very beginning of the game. Yeah, it's actually part of the tutorization as well.
It's encouraged to get rid of old bases because this is
So
one of the things that I it's one of the problems that like comes with the persistence of a game like this, right? Like in an MMO, a traditional MMO like World of Warcraft, it's not like you build a base in the starter zone and leave it there for a week, right? Because imagine how many bases would end up stacking up, and that's kind of how our game does work, is like that. So you can end up with a lot of bases. So the opening tutorial encourages you to get rid of your old base, your first base, and then you move further and further out into the world, and we're asking you to create bigger bases. So I will say, just do your fellow starters a favor when the game launches and clean up your old bases, people. Yes. Don't leave trash on Arrakis.
Yes, clean up after yourself. All right.
Yep.
Mandem 007 again with a question. Can a guild be a party of one individual or at least two players? Good question.
Yeah, there's no minimum requirement there, so that works fine.
Yes, and it enables you to be part of the Landsra if you want to do that as a single player.
And then there's upper cap as well at 32.
Yeah.
But yeah, they can be very small as well.
Yep.
Lenoli. I am sorry, the screen is kind of so weirdly angled for me.
Lona Lionart.
Lona Lionart. Oh, Lona Lionart, yes. If I'm building vertically on a cliffside, will the cliff work as a wall and keep sandstorm damage out, or I need to add another wall along the cliff to close off the structure? That's a good question too.
So for that one, yes, you will need to add another wall. And it depends on certain complicated factors depending on the distance to this opening and how close you are to the other surrounding walls and roofs. But in essence, yes, to be safe, you need to do that. And the reason we're doing it this way is to make sure that bases and their contents eventually do decay away if they are in fact abandoned, right? So we don't have bases staying around permanently, taking up space.
I mean, while we don't expect anybody to quit this video game over time,
yeah.
While we expect 100% of our players to keep playing forever, there may be some that leave, and then we're going to have something like a decay system in place. So yeah, that's why we have to do this.
Yeah. Or you could just get tired of base and move on, right? We need it to be removed in that case.
Yeah, yeah. Sarah Nielsen is asking, how do you set access level towards strangers to your building?
Yeah, so if it's if the question is if you can give access to someone you know, then you can search for their name and add them that way. And you can also interact with their character in the world, give them access that way. If you have them on your friends list already, imported through Steam, for example, then you can also go through the social system menus we have and edit permissions for someone in bulk. Now, it could also be that the question is if you want to make your base or parts of your base public, right?
I think that was the question. Yeah, exactly.
And what you can do then is go to individual objects on the base, like doors or machines and whatnot, and lower its access level requirement to public. And then anyone will be able to access it.
And we've seen some really cool examples of this in the beta, where people, for example, have put out a little bit of a drink of water for other players, or a little piece of shade, or somewhere for them to shelter for the sandstorms, and they make a little area of their base. It's just a little bit public, so people passing by have somewhere to stay.
Like
it's very nice.
A water station with like different water canister, like where people can get water and stuff. So super nice.
We saw the public toilet earlier as well, right? That could be a good one.
That is true, yes.
Generous to strangers.
Yeah. Empty your still suits. Michael is asking, can you move the whole base, or you need to build it all over again?
You can copy the design to a Solido replicator, right? And then you don't have to come up with something new on the new location, but yeah, you do need to build it again at the new location and carry whatever items you want at that place manually. But to help you with that, you have vehicles as well, right? And vehicles can have quite sizable storage. So that makes the process a whole lot less inconvenient.
And also quick deploys, right, which is super nice, vehicle specifically.
Yeah, the quick. Yeah, and we're also very generous with the building costs in this game. We're not. We like when people make cool buildings, so we're not trying to make it a super grindy, like, oh, you have to spend 20 hours getting enough materials just to build the base, right? It's actually, I think, relatively fast compared to the standards of the genre.
Yeah,
I fully agree. I was actually I was going to comment on that, because what I generally do is I don't care about granite, for example, or the base, or the material for the base. I generally might just dismantle the actual refineries or so, just so I can get them up really fast again, or immediately, especially the power generator early on. And anything else, you can just a few minutes and you have the material again.
Yeah, so we wanted to find that sweet spot where it still feels like you worked to earn that base, right? So it isn't so cheap that it feels valueless, right?
Yeah.
You still have to work for it, but it's not so much that it becomes painful to gather the materials. So I think we've found that sweet spot.
You don't spend hours refining just to make a single wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I feel like if you have one of those huge bases that we've seen, then you're basically established yourself, and you're most likely not going to move next week again, right? So there's that as well. So yeah. All right. Dragondi
Dragon die.
Dragon die. Dragon die. Can you link friends' bases together?
Well, you can place bases pretty close together. You can't actually link them together, right? I think one way you could do something.
Permissions, maybe? No, you couldn't cross the border, but you can still make permissions. So it's
Yeah,
quite
you
easy
can.
to be-
You can have them next to each other and have permissions to cross into the one another. Now, what you could probably do, if you really wanted to have separate buildings, is to expand your land and then build 2 separate buildings. That might work.
Also, you could have like, because you can't put them so close next to each other, you can just have like doors that are so close that you can just go from one to the other. That's not
Otherwise,
working.
we'd be in the
There-
griefing territory. We have to, because otherwise people could surround your land claim,
Yeah.
right? So we have to give people
Right.
a little space
Yes.
to
We have a
See,
buffer
that's
zone
why
there.
they're designers and I'm not.
Sadly, we have these lovely people on the beta who build really nice things for other players, and then occasionally we see people in the beta
Yes.
doing things that are like
Yeah, that
quite
are
nasty,
like-
and then we. But the good thing about
Yes.
betas is we then get to make design allowances for these kind of behaviors, which is
Exactly.
great.
We will learn and make sure that it's a bit harder to do in the future. Scarcy, can you build into rock, like make a cave and an underground base?
Yeah, so what you can do is, there are some formations where this makes sense, right? So you can build around a cave entrance or underneath a large overhang, or things like that, right? And you also have quite a lot of allowance for building so that your walls stick into rock and things like that, right? So,
But yeah, we
works quite
don't
well.
allow you, like most of the cave spaces in the world are actually spaces where NPCs live,
Yeah.
right? And so you can't build over the top of NPC camps.
Yeah, there
They're
are very
points
few
of
where it's actually caves that you can do that.
Yes.
So.
But you can build like under rock structures and things to
Yeah.
make, yeah.
You can't actually dig into the terrain to do it.
No.
Igor Litvinovic is asking, is there a solution for gamers who go on vacation and don't want to lose their entire base home but don't have access to the game? I think that goes into the question that we had earlier, but we can go over that.
I mean, we mentioned it, right? Like
Yeah.
you can basically have fuel for around, I think you can have basically 3 weeks, then it's a week before everything will sort of start to decay. So
Yeah.
you have about a month, but like I think the that's about the limit we can do.
Yeah.
Right? Because with taxation as well, it's around a month. The
Yes.
thing is, I don't think people should expect more because we can't really guarantee people are going to be keeping playing the game if they're gone from the game for a month. But what you can do, as mentioned sort of before, is you can get someone else to just fuel your base for you, give them temporary permission if you trust someone. The other thing you can do is you can take a snapshot of your base as a blueprint, and you can store all of these items in the bank, which is by the exchange we talked about earlier. So there's a bank where you can put things. So you can put your best items away, leave the game for a year. You won't have your base when you come back, but you'll still have the blueprints for that base, and you can place it out and start from basically where you were, keeping your stuff at the tier that you were at. And the character will be persistent, just like in any sort of online multiplayer game, any kind of MMO. Your character will still be level 70 or whatever. So if you go for a long vacation and go away from the game for a long time with a little bit of preparation, you can come back and be on your feet again pretty quickly. But if you want to go away for more than 4 weeks, yeah, it's going to be hard for us to like make sure that everything stays without any decay. And obviously that would lead to servers becoming really cluttered as well. So we have to be, we have to make sure that the game continues to flow for everyone else as well.
Yeah, and the bank, as mentioned, it does fit quite a lot of items, right? And you can also bank your Solari, your currency in there, which also further allows you to push ahead once you come back. So you don't have to struggle through the progression as you normally would.
Exactly.
That was the last question, potentially? I can't hear you. Like my in.
I can hear him. He said that was the last
It was
question.
the last question. Yeah, my in-ear doesn't work anyway.
He said that was the last question, and also pineapple does not belong on pizza, and he's been wrong all this time.
No one is
He's been wrong
asking
the
you
whole
about
time.
pizza.
He's been wrong the whole time.
No one is asking you about pizza toppings ever. That's one area. Your input doesn't count.
What?
one area.
Look at how fat I am. Of course, my opinion on food counts.
All right.
Cheers,
so
chat.
we should get actually some envelopes once the raffle is over. And we will go from this side. We will have envelope for you first, which will be the standard editions. Then for you with the deluxe edition, and I will have the honor to announce the ultimate edition winner. But let me also already say thank you for your time, as always. It's always a pleasure to have you on stream. Even though other people, even though people might not believe me saying that.
That sounded so sincere, Natasha. I was like, oh my.
No, I'm not joking. It is a pleasure to have you on stream. No matter the chaos.
People enjoy my
like
toe shoes.
Chaos, chaos goblin.
It's a style statement.
Yeah, this is who I am.
Free food pics.
People thought I was drunk on the last stream, but the reality is this is just who I am. And
but
that's
that was
sad too.
even for you. That was actually more energy than normal, which is quite
too much Coke Zero. That's why I've switched to the max.
Quite impressive. Anyway, so I think we're giving it maybe a few more minutes with the raffle. Or so remember ! Woo! If you know, you know. So we give it a few more minutes.
What is chat's
Yeah,
best?
my in-ear doesn't work anymore.
What's the best Dune puns, chat?
I'm not sure why it doesn't work.
What's your
it
favorite
lost
Dune
power.
pun?
Oh, now you're putting me on the spot. Not sure I can think of any.
What do you call what do you call a
battery
sandworm
went
that won't
out.
show its
Yeah,
face?
It's
You know
actually
this
not
one.
Oh,
working
I know
anymore.
that one. A shy halud.
I like it.
There.
Here
Nice
comes
one.
envelope.
Oh.
We have the first envelope. So we have
Will you take the Chris knife?
standard edition.
I will take it from you with my hand and put it in my pocket.
Are we ready?
Go for it.
So for the ultimate one.
No, standard. Standard.
You're just reading this
Oh.
one.
Standard.
But it's in the wrong order.
Yeah, I know. It's what can I say?
Yeah, so it is. Okay, standard first. I_Nightshade I. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Also pronounced E Nightshade E. Is that correct?
How are we like?
not sure.
Are they supposed to message us? I actually.
Yep.
We will DM you. So we will DM you on Twitch
All right, and
for
then
further information.
next one for standard is Goddard 202.
Goddard 202.
202 or Goddard
Yeah.
202?
Congratulations.
I think Goddard
You
202
also-
or
Nice.
Goddard.